Now, I mentioned that I tend to prefer working in shapes and then switching them to paths after the fact. This gives me some more control in case I need to save and close. I don't forget where I am. It's perfectly acceptable to work directly in paths, so I hold nothing against that. Okay, so if you'll remember from half an hour ago, the original point of grabbing this pen tool was to draw out and around this dress. So I'm going to show you a little bit of that. And as you get the feeling for it, I'll probably skip forward because there's no reason just to watch me clicking for a good 45 minutes. Just a few minutes will probably do the trick. Let me come on in here with the pen tool and make sure that I have it set to shape and then it's set to the standard new layer so that nothing strange will happen since I've been playing with all the settings. So I'm going to pick a good point to start, and I think I'll go ahead and leave rubber band on. That way I can see where everything's going to be. And I'm going to zoom in a lot. Grab the pen tool. I'm going to start right here on this hard to see corner because why not? And at this point, normally I would set this line to be 1 pixel wide. That way I could have a better idea of how close I am, but for this demonstration, I'm going to leave it thicker. So I might be a little bit off, but at least you can see it. Notice when I drag out to create a curve, I'm dragging in the direction that I am planning on putting the next point. This allows me to, if I went the other way, I have this loop back that occurs. Can you see how it's having like this weird bridge? You want to go in the same direction that you were going before. And I'm just going slowly. Spacebar, again, allows me to move points. And I can alt-click back on a previous point. That will allow me to simply make the next line a straight one. A single click without a drag will be a straight point. Now, people who are just absolutely amazing at this can do these things in just a handful of points, and it takes them just a few minutes. It's quite amazing to watch. I'm pretty decent at it, but there's always room for improvement. Let's go ahead and drag that out. Now you notice it's incredibly difficult on this image to see where the dress is. So there are a few things I could do. I could just guess, but I'm going to press escape to get out of here for a moment. I could also put a levels adjustment layer just so that I can change the contrast between the image and the background a bit. Thusly. And if I were to in fact go to, I believe, the red channel, since this is kind of pink, I can change the colors a bit too, and immediately I can get a better idea of where the outline for the dress is. And I can always throw away this adjustment layer later. So don't forget, you can always adjust the image that you're working on. I'm going to mouse back over, click. Excellent. I'm going to alt click so that I get rid of that point. Alt click. Whoops, I missed. Control Z to undo. Alt click. And it helps to be zoomed in enough so you can see everything. And then I get up to the hand. So what do I do here? I'm going to click around the hand because I just want the dress. Now, a question is, well, what happens if the layer that, or the shape that you're placing, the fill covers everything? What do you do then? Well, let me escape for a moment. A couple of things. You could just lower the opacity. And notice that that doesn't lower the opacity of the active path, which means I can see what I'm doing. Or you could change the fill to be something else, but that wouldn't really help you. You could try to change the fill to be transparent. And the reason I say this wouldn't really help you is because it's hard to tell where the inside and the outside is. So what I prefer to do is leave the color on, but then just lower the opacity on the shape layer. All right, clicky click, click, click. Now note that I'm going to go ahead and mask off the shadow but it might be worth my while to make a little note of, hey, put a shadow back in when I edit this. That way I can create a more realistic image. See, because there's this red, I can tell exactly where the inside and the outside of the shape is. And as I continue, it will fill it in correctly. So that's why I don't like to use a transparent color or transparent fill for my shapes. I prefer just to lower the opacity on the shape layer. That way I know exactly where I am and what I'm doing. Go ahead and click in. And if you ever think you've done a lot of work and you need to get up and move around for a minute, that's fine. I just press escape, save my image. I can pick up the path later by going back to the pen, making sure the shape layer is active, going to the end, mousing over it until I get this continue path icon. And then I just pick up where I left off. Now, what do you do if you want to practice and get really good at this? Well, the assignments that I was given long ago when I was a student in a program called Corel Painter, which had a better path tool set up than Photoshop had for many years. My instructor gave us an assignment where we simply took some pieces of fruit, such as apples and bananas and pineapples and things like that, and then traced it with the pen tool. And you know what? It worked. It just took a few hours. And then after that, the whole class was pretty solid at the pen tool. So I still recommend that today as a way to learn it. Just grab some fruit photos, which have hard edges frequently, and not always completely uniform because it's organic, so things will shift around. And then just draw some shapes around it. And that will get you going on the pen tool. All right, so already we've been going on for 7 minutes. I'm going to keep recording this for another couple of minutes here, just in case I run into any other abnormal things so that you can see me handle those. But I think you're getting the idea pretty quickly as to what's going on here. The pen tool is really just about practice and nothing else. If you start YouTubing videos on pen tools because you get interested in it, you'll notice that a lot of the videos, let me alt click here. A lot of the videos are just time on task. It's the secret to any art, and it just has people slowly going through. I had a watercolor instructor, Dan Peterson, who's one of the greatest artists that I ever had the opportunity to study under. He had a saying where for every piece that we slowly worked through, time on task. Did we want to be great at something? Just keep working at it. Drag out, alt click. Now why am I alt clicking? It's to break it so that I don't end up with strange curves going in. Again, note that every curve that I am doing, whoops, I missed, Control Z, Control Z, alt click. Every time I need a curve to drastically change direction, I don't want to end up with that strange little bridge effect that will occur. For example, if I had one here, I needed to change direction, see that curve? I'd have to alt click, and now I have a nice point. Now you can do something else when you're dragging. Hold down Alt, and you can break this up into separate sections. So that can be pretty useful if you need to do little waves like that. I don't want to, so let me escape and for this, I will grab my delete anchor point tool because I rarely have a chance to use that, and boom, 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 there. I'm going to zoom in a little bit more. We can see now that the edge is missing. I'm quite a bit off, and that has to do with the 3 pixels that I've grown it up to. Again, 1 pixel or half a pixel is much better so that you can see exactly where you are. But for this demonstration, this will be fine. All right, let me continue the path and make another curve. And another curve. And another curve. And I want to change this, so I'm going to hold down Control Control and Alt to break that. And I went too far. Oops. Now, just the Alt key, so I don't have to break it. There we go. So hopefully that was worth the time. Okay, so that's about 10 minutes of me going through this. I'm going to go ahead and pause the video and just complete this shape so that you don't have to watch me do this for the rest of the time. Alt click here. I think you've got an idea of about how I'm doing this. I just drag in the direction I want to go. If I know that my next, and through my rubber band preview, which again is just this gear icon, if I can't quite make the curve that I need, I can just alt click to break it apart from the previous one, and that will allow me the ability to change direction on the curve. If I need to, I can alt click, alt drag to break it apart, but rarely do I need to do that. So just Control Z a couple times, alt click, and voila, you can see it going. All right, I'm going to pause the video and then just complete the rest of this dress. I will see you in just a moment. To you, no time will have passed at all, thanks to the power of movie magic. Wow, look. One click and the shape is closed. Now, you'll notice something. The leg shows through, this model's leg shows through the dress because there's a split down the dress. The question becomes, how do I want to handle this? Well, I could make a compound shape. I showed you how to do that earlier using the pen tool. And as a quick reminder, you set it so that you can subtract from the front shape, and then once you're done, you merge the shape components and you get one piece. But what if I need that later? I don't want to have to go in and eliminate it. So instead, I'm going to create a separate shape. And the reason for this is that I'm not going to leave them as shapes. I'm actually going to make them into paths and then later masks and selections. So I'm going to save what I have. It's passable. There's still more work to be done, but hey, it's a start. So what I would do is this. I would create an all new shape layer. And the easiest way to do that, I'm just going to hide my current shape so I can see what I'm doing. Zoom in, grab the pen tool, make sure it's on shape, and set to new layer. Boom. And then just click. And there we go. We've got a new shape right away. Alt click here. And there we go. And I'm just going to click away again. More of the same, I know. Guess what a lot of this is. Now, how important to this assignment is this mask? Very, very important. And since the majority of you will be doing cloth that has defined edges, the pen tool is going to be your friend. It's possible to get by without it, but honestly, your masks will look so much better and be so much easier to use if you take the time to use the pen tool. And yeah, it might take you a good 45 minutes or an hour to get the hang of how to use it. But you know what? Even that rough pen path that you create that first time is going to be so useful for you. It's just such a great, great tool. And with that, once again, I can't see what I'm doing, so I'm just going to drop this opacity down so that I can see it. And now I'm having some problems seeing the leg. I'm going to turn off my adjustment layer. It's a little better for me. And click. I control clicked to get the, held down control to get the direct select tool and clicked on the path, or sorry, the shape to get access to my path. Clicked on my path's edge. And then I just continued where I left off. There we go. So you might want to put on some music that you want to listen to while you do this, because my word, it will take a while. Perfect. All right. So that's the other shape. So I said that I would store these. I'm going to save. What I'm going to do is this. I'm going to call this right dress. And I'm going to call this right dress leg hole. All right, now I said that I was going to turn these into paths, so I'm going to do exactly that. Activate the right dress, go to my path. I have the right dress shape path, drag that down to the new layer, boom, got it right there. Come back to my layers, my new layer, sorry, drag it down to the new, create new path icon, same thing as the new layer icon on layers. Go to my leg hole, come over to path, and just drag it over. I believe I can also just right click on it, and let's see if this is still the case. Right click on it and create a path out of it. Well, sort of. It's a multi-step process. Honestly, the way that I just did it is the fastest way. So once I'm done with that, I don't actually need these anymore. I can just throw them away and boom, they're gone. Notice the outline remains. That's because I have these paths available. And for some reason, I accidentally created a copy of one of them. I only need one. So I've got the paths available. So what do I do with this? Well, let's say that I had a background here that was something like at the adjustment layer, something like a pattern. And then I grabbed, I don't know, one of the patterns that we created throughout the previous assignment. Let's just do the ABC pattern. And let me make this tiny weeny. So we got the ABC pattern. All right, so we've got this background, right? Alt double click the original background layer. Call this models. Maybe save this as something. If I can. Hello. Here we go. File, save as. We'll call this path example. Okay, so I have these paths. I also have some controls. I have fill path with foreground color, which I don't really need to do because I don't want to do that at all. I can stroke it with the foreground color. I don't want to do that either. And I can load path as a selection. Well, there we go. I'm going to load this path as a selection. Now, what about this one? I want to remove the leg hole. Well, I'll hold down the Alt key and click load path with selection. And it brings up some options. And again, that's the Alt key option on the Mac. I have the ability to perform a feather to this if I want. I don't want to. I can make a new selection, add to the selection, subtract from the selection, or intersect. I want to subtract. Tell it OK. You can get to that menu, I believe, by double clicking the first time through. Well, not on this version of Photoshop. So alt click is going to be your go-to apparently on the next version of Photoshop you use. So now I've got this perfectly selected. If I mask it, I went the wrong direction. Let me Control Z, hold down Alt and click the mask. Boom, it's gone. Look at that. Instead, I have this pattern that I've painstakingly cut out. Now I can see a couple of little errors here and there that I might want to go back into on the path and fix. For example, I have this problem right here, so I'd come over to the path and then using the pen tool. Oops. I'm just going to add in a new point. Hold down, hold down the Alt key now, hold down the Control key. There we go. Oops, I'm moving the entire piece. I did not want to do that. Click once. Now I can move that one piece. So now that I've corrected that, I'm going to Control click to grab a selection so I don't have to press the button. And now I'm just going to grab the brush, go to the mask using the black brush. Oh, sorry, at 100% opacity. It could just fill in that area. Oops, fill in that area. Zoom, Z on the keyboard, and look at that, much better. Now I could go the other direction as well. If I took the pattern fill, I could instead drag the mask up here, and let me invert that. That's backwards. So now I essentially have a pattern filled dress. Pretty neat, right? So on that note, how would I handle the dress on the left? Well, it would be two pieces as well. Actually, it would be three pieces. It would be this piece on the right. Notice that the hand slices it up. It goes up to the other hand and comes out. 4 pieces. It would be this piece over here. It would be this tiny piece between the fingers. And it would be the top. And then once I had all of those stashed in the path, I just add to the selection. And voila, I have a mask. So with the with the pen tool, you can create incredibly detailed masks with incredible precision. It's well worth your time to learn. All right, that's how you load in paths as selections and use them into masks. I'll see you in the next video.